Let's rank every constructor in Fortnite Save the World. I have not tackled this topic in over 4 years because, frankly, my opinions don't change that much as far as constructors go, but there have been 3 new ones, major changes, and honestly, the game just went free to play. A lot of new people want to know what's good, and people just distrust a video that's 4 years old. I do put updated 2026 or whatever current year that it is in videos that I have verified to be good. So if you ever see that in a title, you don't need to question it, but I always recommend checking pinned comments in case something small enough changed, because remaking an entire edited video takes a ridiculous amount of work, and I just can't do it because one weapon changed. All right, pinned comments are there for a reason. And one thing I want to say is, in my recent tier list, I've been doing no loadout versus loadout. That's not a thing here. Seeing as we're ranking heroes, they literally are your loadout. You know, like Demo Penny. I am going to rank her assuming you are using rocket launchers. I'm going to rank Dennis Jr. assuming you're using an axe. Otherwise, they're all F tier. You know what I mean? So let's get into it, starting with 8-bit Demo. 8-bit Demo from the Blockbuster section gives you a 20% chance not to consume ammo when you're using explosive weapons. That is a very, very strong, very basic perk. I'm going to put him in A tier. Now, my criteria is S tier are kings. They are going to probably be your main commanders as a hero. They are going to be the ones you build loadouts around, or if you're building a basic base constructor build, they are going to be number 1. In fact, I'll do base Kyle real quick just as an example. Base Kyle makes your walls very strong. Even in support, 28% is a substantial bonus, and 84% is incredible. So any constructor that could be a commander, I'm going to be putting them in S tier as a basic thing to go forward from here. So Ankylo Kyle is our first F tier. Ankylo Kyle is often considered to be one of the worst dinos in the game because Kinetic Overload is an ability that all constructors have. When you knock back or stagger an enemy, it triggers Kinetic Overload, dealing a bit of damage, and it's kind of nice. It increases your impact, which knocks enemies around. I personally do not favor impact very highly. I don't run knockback on my Minecraft swords for the exact same reason, that I want my enemies to stay here and die. I don't want them to be going anywhere. So I've never seen building an impact as a good thing, frankly. Now, knocking them further away from your defense can be fine if it's a smasher or something, but smashers are hard to knock around, so what are we doing? And 2.125% of your max health is very little. Very, very little. Not only does Kinetic Overdrive not happen that often, but he will not be your main healing perk. In contrast, Arlene Iza is pretty fantastic. Arlene Iza is a hero that I consistently use in my ninja loadouts because basically, she gives you life leech with melees. If you hit an enemy with her in support, you will heal. As a commander, very useless. She's going to cap out at A tier, but if you're running a totally Rockin Out melee where you are doing a lot of damage with that weapon, she will heal you a good amount. Now, it's based on your missing health, so if you're high up, she'll heal you less, but the lower you go in your health value, the better she is. Whether or not she's better or worse than 8-bit Demo is completely up to your playstyle. I'm going to rank them based on perceived usability. Now, I'm just one person. I probably use melees more than I spam rocket launchers, but they're both very fantastic and they come up a lot. The next one is Birthday Brigade Penny, but she has a duplicate, so let's talk about that. So Birthday Brigade Penny is a birthday hero. All of these heroes are, reskins of others. So Plasma Pulse cooldown by 18% is what she does, but I'm going to be ranking her alongside Riot Response Hazard. Thank you, Hiatus. I record these on stream, Twitch link down below. I'm not going to lie, you guys, I paused for about 5 minutes trying to find who this hero was because Plasma Pulse cooldown is not very relevant. This is fine if you're running a Plasma Pulse build. I'm going to rank these heroes probably higher than you'd expect because Flutter is kind of crazy. She makes Plasma Pulse really good because when she drops a Plasma Pulse, you get a bunch of butterflies around you. It's kind of nice. In fact, let's just talk about her too. So we're just going to be talking about these 3 heroes at the same time, but Flutter is right there. Elimination, Summon a Wisp. And that does a pretty significant amount of damage. It is a commander perk. So while I don't feel like this is an S tier constructor in the sense that, oh my gosh, you have to use her all the time, she would be a commander. So I'm gonna fudge on this a little bit. I think she's an A tier commander for sure, but she's not like a you must use her, so she's so freaking good, oh my OMG. Okay, so if you're running Flutter for all that damage, you're going to want to be reducing that cooldown. I'll put her in like B tier. Plasma Pulse is pretty strong. Riot Response, it's a fine perk. I'll put her above him just because Birthday is awesome and you should probably flex if you have it, but it's just not that important because Plasma Pulse is really good to drop on like a Smasher or a mini boss or something, but you're not usually spamming the ability unless Flutter's there. So there are some real C tier heroes. I think this one being marginally useful is still worth B tier. Let's talk about Black Knight Garridan next. Black Knight Garridan actually got buffed, and I am not going to lie to you guys, I did not know this until I went to record this video. So Going Constructor got an update. Epic wanted to make it a little bit more viable, and it is pretty good. You are very slow, your mobility is extremely limited, the damage is frankly phenomenal, and your survivability is really good. So, in my opinion, Going Constructor is still not there. The enemies just outpace you by walking, it's really tough, and reducing the cooldown is significant. 1 second is not at all a lot. Hardware kills are hard enough to get, and increasing impact, as stated, is not something I value highly. So I really think he's like C tier. I kind of just put him there as a placeholder, but yeah, he can just stay there because that's just it. You know, hardware impact's not something I value. Cooldown is so minimal it barely matters, and if you're using Kinetic Overdrive as a perk, I mean that's already a tough build. I've really tried Kinetic Overload. It's something I've worked around. I've given him a chance. I'm just not that impressed. Blakebeard stash increases cannonball damage by 20%. That is actually a very big deal. Cannonballs are better than you might think. They're not just something that you get from the team perk Blakebeard stash, and we'll get there, but that also counts the bowler, the cannonade, I think the steamroller pistol technically, the Jabberwocky. These are some very strong weapons, and making them do 20% more is kind of awesome. Cannonball, Rosie, pretty fun. I don't know if that's like necessary. It's a fun build. It's not really a serious one, but Blakebeard stash alone, in my opinion, this is my tier list, makes him an S tier hero. That team perk is fantastic. I did not mention Black Knight's team perk because it's not hugely important. If you're running Kinetic Overload, you can go get it, but Blakebeard stash alone makes him S tier, and cannonball damage is pretty good. So I'll put him low S tier because it's really the team perk that we're talking about. But on that note, let's cover Dennis Jr. because Dennis Jr. has the exact same situation. In the Rad Heroes, Dennis Jr. is fine. Axe Eliminations activates Rock and Riff. It's an A tier perk. Axes are pretty good. You want Rock and Riff. This is a good hero to be using. You're probably never putting him in the lead, but oh my goodness. Totally Rockin' Out, as we should all know by now. If you're a new player, no shame, but you're learning it now. Totally Rockin' Out is the highest damage bonus you can get in Fortnite Save the World. I do think it's a little better than Blakebeard stash. It is really, really good. It increases your, in fact, let me just bring it back up. Crit rating by 160. That scales negatively, so it will not go up forever. It really caps out really around like a 70% crit chance bonus is usually where you're stopping, but that's still so many crits. And it heals you a little bit, which is nice, but Rock and Riff is really what's happening there. If you're using 2 support heroes to activate Totally Rockin' Out, you're going to also be enjoying a 50% damage bonus, decaying over 8 seconds, and a melee attack speed bonus, which is really, really nice. So if you're running an axe build, you are going to be doing more damage, swinging faster, critting more, and you're going to be healing whenever you activate the perk. It's so much going on. Totally Rockin' Out alone is fantastic, which makes him an S tier pick. I know that I'm being a little vague on what S tier means, but really it's just cream of the crop. These are the most important constructors, so that's why Flutter's a great commander. He isn't, but I'm just trying to explain this as I go. Bombsuit Kyle is actually a really fun pick. He's hiding over here in the Spy Llamas, and I haven't mentioned too much of the events that I'm referring to here, but he is not an event hero. Spy Llamas just come to the shop randomly. There's like 1 day a year where we actually expect them, and hopefully you see him in your llamas. Otherwise, he's flexible, but yeah, armor by 22 is dead simple. He makes you stay alive longer. In the very end game, I famously have said this a lot in all our Frost Knight runs, that 22 armor is just enough to survive a max health taker without dying right away. It's just enough to survive. So, in my opinion, A tier is just perfectly fine. You can throw him into any build in the entire game and enjoy an appreciable amount of protection. CONSTRUCTOR Penny. Over here in the Fortnitemares section, she just gives you a Bull Rush cooldown. It's really not a big deal. If you are ever using Bull Rush, you're never spamming it. So I'm going to put her in F tier. I might have put her in D tier before, but like, I don't see a reason you would ever use this. I mean, maybe if you're Gold Nox dropping landmines, I feel like, so we're jumping around less, we can talk about him as well. He's hiding in the Spy Llamas once again, so if you really want him, you might see him in there. Otherwise, you're just going to have to go ahead and pick him up. Bull Rush dropping landmines is fun. It's something you'll probably do once or twice, have a neat session with it, and likely never use it again. So as a commander, I think he's like C tier fun, maybe a little better than the Black Knight, but maybe D tier if you're spamming the landmines. She's like a low D tier. It's more useful than healing off of Ankylo Kyle, that's why I'm moving her up, but still just a very not impactful perk. Next up is Magnus. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even remember his perk. That's why. I am actually a decoy fan, but 6 base damage every second is not a ton. When you're building a decoy build, he is like a maybe support pick. He's in the campaign section, so you'll get him pretty naturally. I think decoy is really strong. You can perma-stall enemies, and he's nice to throw in there. I'll put him in as like a mid-C tier hero, and that's pretty much it. Green Jacket, I believe, is Controller Harper. So yeah, base game constructor that gives you a decoy cooldown. She's actually really good in the lead alongside Sentinel Hype. They basically do the same thing. You either get 3 extra seconds on your decoy or you get to spam it more often. It's pretty much a toss-up. These heroes are in practice functionally identical because you're usually using one or the other. I want to get my Sentinels on track here because a lot of them are like the exact same character with a different shirt color. So I want to make sure that we're keeping up to speed with things and make sure everything is organized. All right, so in my opinion, if you are running decoy, you're going to be hoarding lots of enemies, of course, that's what it does, but you're probably going to be spamming it often. So because I think it's a fairly viable perk, I'm going to put them up in B tier. It's really just for normal enemies. Miss monsters don't care about your decoy. Mini bosses will walk right by it. It's nothing S tier, and Flutter's damage is a lot higher anyway, but I did make like one video on decoy plus airstrike. It's a fun combo. I do think Sentinel in the lead is perfect because you can stun enemies forever, and that also comes with the Brainstormer, and then the cooldown is better in support, just in my opinion. So let's talk about Brainstormer. He is a hero that came out in the Fortnite section. I totally knew that without checking. Yeah, decoy freezing enemies is really interesting. In the commander spot, I don't think those phantasms are ever making a difference for any phantasm hero. Most often phantasms are heroes that should probably be in support, like Chaos Agent, but that's neither here nor there. Freezes enemies when your decoy is destroyed. So that 3 extra seconds is just enough. As soon as that last enemy thaws, your decoy's off cooldown, and it's exactly perfect. Is freezing enemies in your decoy that big of a deal? No. I'll put him in like high B tier, because if you're spamming decoy, you should probably have him in the build. He's the reason he makes it infinite, but I would say decoy is B tier. You know, it'll hoard the enemies together, put them all together, hurt them all together, and you can get a decent build out of that. But yeah, I forgot the name of this hero. Ah, yes, Dark Vanguard. So this is the thing that happens with constructors. A lot of them have extremely minimally impactful perks, where hardware heavy attack efficiency is useful for something. Surround pound is a thing. There are some decent hardwares in the game where she could be useful. She's very niche. If you're using those, she's exactly who you need. I just don't think those builds are that good. So I'll put her in low B tier, maybe higher than decoy. It's not going to come up a lot, but if you're spamming surround pound or something, that is exactly who you're going to need. Demo Penny. I like her a lot. She's right there next to 8-bit Demo. She makes your your launchers do 17% more in support, 50 in the lead. She comes out of the military heroes in the Shadow Ops section. So if you see military llamas, that's your chance to pick her up. Otherwise, you're just going to have to flux her year round. Great hero. Honestly, launchers are already extremely strong. So even in support, 17% is just great. All right, Director Riggs, let's talk about him. I think he's a base game. Okay, not base game, but home base heroes, which is close enough. Close enough. He's in the Yard quest line. So Golem Constructor eliminations extend duration. We've already talked about Golem Constructor enough. I'm not going to get into it. Basically, if you're using Golem Constructor, he should be involved. He's better than Black Knight Garridan. I don't know, C tier, B tier, it's kind of a toss-up. This is entirely preference based on how you feel about that perk. So Eddie is S tier. Let me explain. I've been running him recently in a specific loadout that was suggested to me by AS407, and I featured it recently on the channel. I feel like I'm going to need to explain myself here. Eddie with, oh, I'm so glad I clicked right to a moment like this, with Stormblade is annihilating smashers. That was power level 320. By the way, perfect cut. I just clicked exactly to the moment I needed to show. Yeah, I was soloing mini bosses. So in the right loadout, he is really, really good. Let's actually talk about what he does. So Eddie is a retro sci-fi hero. He needs a lot of support, I'm not gonna lie, but he basically makes it where your melee energy damage adds 22% from your shield to your damage and 66% in the lead, meaning you need to avoid taking too much damage, run that armor perk with Bomb Suit Kyle. You are going to need Ken from the, like, it's a whole loadout. It's a whole loadout, but if you can support it, that is a ridiculous amount of extra damage if you've got the right weapon outputted. So yeah, like I said, we're not going to be ranking with and without a loadout. Without a loadout, what are you even doing? You should have a loadout. But if Eddie's your commander and you're really leaning into it, low S tier, I think is actually fair to say. Next up on the list is Electropulse Penny. So the graphic we have is not the legendary variant of her, and that did confuse me mid-recording, but I like this hero a lot. It's so basic. When enemies hit your base, it recoils damage back onto them. Now, I have a lot of high value for this as someone who likes to drop a base down and then go get some food with teammates who know what I'm doing, by the way. Never do that in a public lobby. They know I'm going AFK, but she's kind of great because if you're just running like a low-level mission, that'll pretty much do it for you if you're a high enough player. I think it's A tier. Even in the end game, it's a nice little bit of chip damage. No, it's not. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. In the end game, she's dead useless. So I think in fairness, high B tier is probably where she should be at. But if you want to turn your base into damage, she is one of the few heroes that does that. And while we're on that note, we should probably talk about the other hero that goes that same route. We're looking for, yeah, road trip section. This is what we're going for. Thunder Thora. When enemies stand on your structures, they take some energy damage every 5 seconds. I don't think that's as useful, but they don't compete. You know, they can just walk on your floors, take damage over time, and then Electropulse can just finish them off. In my opinion, these go hand in hand. If you are using a base that is meant to be AFK'd or doing damage for you, you're probably using these at the same time. Now, if we're going to be staying on topic and talking about things a little out of order, we should probably discuss Heavy Base Kyle, who is currently hiding from me. Yeah, he's cyberpunk, so it's like he's base game nowadays, but kind of technically expansion. When enemies get eliminated on your base, it charges up an explosion that does some damage. I've never known it to be like a lot of damage, and it doesn't have a ton of range, and it's not as universal as the girls. So I'm gonna put him in low B tier, but all of these heroes kinda do the same thing, so I figured I'd group them together. Going right down the list, we've got Guardian Bull. So Guardian Bull is actually a base game hero. He adds hardware crit rating, which is really, really good in the Storm King fight when hardware weapons are really good versus the Horn. For that very specific use case, I like him a lot. Maybe like a high B tier because he comes up a lot. I'll put him in low A tier just because in my opinion, the Mythic Storm King fight is one of the most important fights in the game. I'm not putting him in A tier because hardware is so good you must use him. I'm putting him in A tier because the Mythic Storm King weapons are incredible and he'll help you get them. That's kind of where my mentality is at. And then alongside him is Tank Penny. So she does something very similar. He's hardware crit rating and she is literally just hardware damage. They are basically the same loadout kind of hero. I don't know if one's better than the other, probably crit rating, but it's only 17, so I'll put him in the lead. These two should be used together. Under normal circumstances, they're probably next to Dark Voyager. If Storm King wasn't as important and hardwares weren't so dominant versus the Horn, they'd just be mid B tier. It's not a big deal, but I'll put them up here just because, you know, that's what a video's for. So I can sit here and explain my thoughts because it's kind of a niche pick. So Earhart is kind of an interesting hero. For whatever reason, she's a Fortnite hero, but she doesn't come in Fortnite llamas if you're looking to unlock this hero. She just comes into the llama shop occasionally. We see her like once a year. She is flat Rosie damage, 25%, 50 in the lead, and it's an energy perk. So I say it's interesting because Rosie is not that good. Even after the buff, it's kind of just a nice thing to have. I don't know why you'd spec into a Rosie build exactly. Maybe it's better than I thought. Maybe it needs a second look, but it's an objectively fine perk. Rosie's very strong. Making it do more damage is good, and it's probably better than these two over here. So mid B tier, I think, is fair. I just don't know where to put her because Rosie is really, really niche and hard to build a loadout around. Krampus is interesting again. So if you don't know, running Frost Knight is how you get Krampus, and he is really, really tricky. I think he's hiding in here somewhere. Yeah, he's the one where you need to like kill 100 Krampuses with the daily quest at some point. It's a whole thing. It's a very, very grindy hero. And all he does is Rosie elimination, increases damage by 4%, and makes it stronger and stronger. So I guess he's like objectively better than her. So if you're running a Rosie build, he should be involved. Was it worth all of that grinding? Only you can say. Hotfixer Hazard is a base game hero where we once again have the wrong image for him in the tier list, but building repair speed is just useless. I'm actually putting him in F tier. So I'm not saying that building repair speed is bad. It's an objectively fine perk to have in support. If you're a new player and you want to throw him in your build, you're not being shamed by me. I think he's fine. It's just that in the end game, it's completely useless. 10% extra repair speed is usually not making any difference in the mission at all. If you are healing builds normally, they'll go up plenty fast. It's perfectly fine. And if you're under attack, that extra 10% is likely not going to save the build. So I've never really known what to do with him, and I'm not aware that there's any real reason to use Hotfixer in any serious finished endgame loadout. Once again, early game stuff, use what you got, no shame, no big deal. It's not a big deal. It really isn't. But yeah, Hotfixer, F tier for sure. Now in the Fortnite mirror section, we've got Kyle the 13th, and Decoy reflects damage back at enemies. If you are running a Decoy build, he should probably be involved. It's just a really, really nice hero to have, and I'm thinking I put him right next to the girls over here, where if you have Teddy uptime and you're freezing them, he should be somewhere in the loadout. Who's more important? I don't know. I put Brainstorm in the lead, but like if you don't have the cooldown, he's not nearly as effective, so you should definitely have Decoy uptime in the commander slot, you know, and then there should be a low cooldown, and then freeze him, kill him, whatever you want to do. Kyle the 13th is a Decoy hero. So Lars is a starter pack hero, and he's also just power pop Penny from the rad section. Her perk is, as you just saw, heavy attack eliminations will activate Rock and Rift 12.5% of the time. That is completely fine. It's one of those works sometimes builds, but unexciting ultimately. I did actually show a loadout on this recently where we were dashing around with the Storm Blade. No, the Spectral Blade, and it did really, really well. That was very specific. So very much like Dark Vanguard over here, these two will be great if you're building a loadout around it. It's pretty rare, so maybe like low A tier because they're totally rocking out perks. It doesn't come up much, but it's a very, very powerful combo when it does happen. And I'm gonna put Power Pop in the lead because as much as I think you should flex the birthday if you've got it, he was a paid hero. It's always been iffy whether or not home-based heroes are a thing that should be looked upon favorably or not, but I don't know. If you spent the money, flex them, go for it, but it's the same hero as Power Pop. Lockbot is very similar. Plasma Pulse deals energy damage in a 1 tile radius. That is a complete reskin of the Lunar Hero right here, Rider Control Iza. It's kind of nice. When you place it, 43 base energy damage is a good amount. Calculating base damage is really difficult, so I can't translate it at all, but it's kind of fun. I'm gonna put them very much next to Flutter. Not A tier, but like if you're gonna be doing Plasma Pulse, then these are going to be involved in some way. So who is the cooldown for Plasma Pulse again? Did I just lose it? Was it Constructor? I don't think so. I think it was these guys. Yeah. So if you have the Plasma Pulse cooldown, you might as well do a big hit of damage alongside it. I'm going to change my mind on Lars. If you've got Lockbot, you should flex it. No, maybe. I don't, you know what? You decide. You guys decide. You'll figure it out. So these are Plasma Pulse cooldown, and then extra Plasma Pulse damage is just kind of a thing. Machinist Harper and Machinist Mina. So these two are reskins of each other. So Machinist Mina came with the Zapple Max in the starter pack, but they re-released a skin in the shop, and it's not the hero. It's like 3 different things, but trap durability goes up, and Machinist Harper is not base game. She's a scavenger hero. So she is base game now, but she was expansion down the road. It's a whole thing, but trap durability is fine. That is S tier if you play Endurance, F tier if you have your Survivor Squad set up. So I think at the past tier list, I've put her like mid B tier. If you are struggling with trap durability, you should use her. It makes sense, but it's not likely to be. So I'm kind of just averaging it. You know, if you're an endurance grinder, it's S tier, F tier if you're in the end game not doing endurance, and even early game, you probably don't absolutely need more trap durability because through Stonewood all the way to the end of Canny, traps are not the main focus. They become a focus later in Twine when you probably have more flexibility over your squad. So I think it's B tier. Trap durability, she's there if you need her. I believe we've got Mega Base Kyle here. That's S tier for sure. Is he better than all the team perks? Probably. Mega Base, I love, is so simple. He's also available in regular missions now. You don't need to flux him for this ridiculous amount. He's just in late game missions. He just increases your base connectivity by 1, which does not sound very sexy, and you would be correct. But the team perk is incredible. Supercharged Traps makes all of your traps do 42.5% more damage, and in the commander slot, he just gives you such a gigantic base that it blankets everything. It's a really, really powerful perk, and if you're running any base build, he should probably be in support. That 1 extra tile of connectivity doesn't sound like a lot, but it goes out from the center, so it covers dozens or at least tens of different tiles. It's a pretty big deal. Bunny Penny is really simple. Plasma Pulse energy cost goes down. Now, even if you're spamming Plasma Pulse, I don't think the energy cost is a limiting factor. I'm gonna put her in C tier, maybe low C tier, because again, the cooldown is still not great even when you're doing your best, and you're not usually using all of the other constructor abilities. So if you're spamming Plasma Pulse, that's pretty much where that's going to be. It's just not going to come up that much. Marathon Hype is just one of those characters. Bull Rush distance is not why we use Bull Rush usually. I mean, knocking a Smasher around, stopping the mid-charge is fine, but I don't think the distance of your Bull Rush is really doing much more than sending a mini boss 2 tiles further away. It's very niche. I would never run her in a build. I'll put her in high F tier. If you can make use out of her, I would love to make a video on it. Yeah, you might pair that with Gold Nox to send more landmines, but that's already a very niche build. So this is like a niche support perk for a niche commander. It's just not a hero I see a lot of value in, so I think F tier makes sense. You're never trying to extend your bull rush. It's just not why you're ever doing a bull rush. Patriot Penny is up next. She's one of our 4th of July heroes. When your shield depletes, you get another bull rush, which is just, again, F tier. I don't see that ever coming into play. Like, it's kind of nice. I'm not saying it's a bad perk. If you're going to bull rush, you should go 2 extra tiles. If you're going to bull rush and lose your shield, you might as well get an extra bull rush, right? But you're never building around that. Cracking your shields and bull rushing further is not a loadout that I've ever seen. Once again, if you can figure it out and make it viable, let me know. That's a free video, but I just don't see that ever being useful. So, Riot Control, I think? Oh yeah, Plasma Specialist Iza. I know what you do. Plasma Pulse damage by 30%. Again, Plasma Pulse is something you just drop on a Smasher, Mist Monster, Mini Boss. It's already doing plenty of damage. That extra 30% is not making a gigantic difference, so I'll put her right next to our base damage character. If you're going to be spamming Plasma Pulse, it's probably just a Flutter build, let's be honest, and you're not really doing it... Well, the damage activates Flutter, so it kind of makes sense, but that hit of energy damage from her is a lot more effective, a lot faster, and it's just it's hard to rank these two, but Plasma Pulse is hard to build around anyway. Power Base Nox is S tier for sure. Base Kyle in the lead makes sense to me because making your walls thicker is great and healing them over time is awesome. But in my opinion, these constructors can work together. If you've got a team, someone else should have Nox. I think stronger walls up front makes sense. It protects against smashers, but healing them over time, you could do the best if he's in the lead. So yeah, these are just extremely strong constructors, and Penny over here is, I believe, the Founder's variant, so it's the same thing. There are also some Xbox versions over here. I think these both also heal walls. So there are kind of 4 heroes in the game that heal your builds, and they're all S tier. I wouldn't really shake up the order up. I wouldn't worry about the order too much. These can all rotate. I don't know if I've plugged this yet at all. If not, then I'm a terrible YouTuber, but I have a whole constructor loadout build guide video. This is extremely thorough, and these heroes are heavily discussed. So yeah, who do we have here? Because I might have mixed them up, and that would be hilarious. Yeah, chat to the rescue again. Apparently, this is just power-based Kyle. So all of these heroes up here are just healing your builds, and I think he's an Ultimate Edition, so you have that if you're a Founder, but again, all of these 3 are just healing your walls. Prehistoric Iza is a fun one. I use her all the time. She's an S tier support perk for Blast in the Past, and I use her in normal builds because a lot of times the ratio of health to shields favors your health by like a lot. So like in this situation, maybe it's a little different, but very often you'll find yourself in situations where, I guess the number's not updating, but regardless, okay, let me show you what she does. You need to not have any shield for her armor to kick in, but that 33 armor is usually favorable. So like I'll even use her over Bomb Suit because you're just expecting to lose your shield and then she buffs you up. Is she a commander? No, I'm not going to put her in S tier, but I think a little bit better than Bomb Suit makes sense. These two go hand in hand. I think Bomb Suit's more universal. She's better if you're planning to lose your shields. Excellent hero. It's so funny because I have to rank her in A tier to be fair, but probably an S tier hero. I don't even know. This is just club damage, and I forgot her name. Yeah. Privateer Height from the pirate section. I just throw her in support so fast. I don't even look at the name. Club damage 17% is really interesting because if you're running Blakebeard stash, you need 3 support perks, and she's going to be one of them. So it's not like we ever use her because she's good. Peg legs are just fine. I'll put her in like low B tier. I'm not sure if she should go higher or lower because we're never really using that hero. We're just activating the team perk. So clubs doing more are great. Peg legs are strong. 70% is fine. I'll take it. Is this Saboteur Bull? Let's go and check him out over here. So I think he's in, I forgot. Shadow Ops. I actually did know that. So when the decoy is destroyed, you explode a bunch of enemies. It's like I've been slowly explaining a decoy build while talking about him the whole time. I'll put him right up here. If you're running him in a decoy build, this whole loadout, you might as well have it explode and do a ton of damage. That is perfectly fine to me. I think Sleuth is a hero for Rosie. He's in the rad section. No, he's not. He's in the spy section. Come on, I know things. I know. Oh, I don't. Oh no. Art Deco is what I meant all the time, and I was gonna say no, or no, I was gonna say Sleuth again. It was Sleuth. All right, I was half right, dude. This is why I'm showing them in the collection book, not only for you guys to have a visual and you can read the perk alongside it, but I know the perks more than the heroes with constructors, and it messes me up constantly. But Rosie Fire Rate and Ammo Pool is kind of irrelevant. It's not a gigantic bonus. If you're running Rosie, he should be involved, so I'll put him up here. Mid B tier, because Rosie's strong. It's just got a really long cooldown, so I think that's a good spot for him to live. Steel Wool Sid is kind of interesting. So he gives you kinetic overload damage, which is not much. Even in a kinetic overload build, I don't see a lot of value there. The funny thing though is he technically activates Boom Base, and because Boom Base sometimes needs a dead perk if you're not like trying to be a full-on, if you're trying to do an offensive constructor build, he's just kind of there because his stats are really high. So you put him in support as a dead perk just for the extra health. It's kind of funny. Tank is our favorite constructor to kind of hate on. So he's a toy hero in the holiday section. He gives you up to 5 attacks blocked by going constructor, create a sonic wave dealing damage. That is a very difficult perk to use. I'm not sure what Epic's exact idea was from that. He's probably better than these ones, but it's just, even in a going constructor build, I don't think he has a spot. It's really tough. So Ice King's obviously F tier because he's garbage, but Vintage Tech, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so he was the most popular constructor in the game. Fortnite DB ran a whole analysis of all the loadouts in all of Save the World, and Ice King was #1 constructor by far. I never valued him as much as everybody else. I thought more health on your walls was fine. I still kind of believe that, but I can't deny that his team perk, or I'm sorry, his commander perk is incredible. When enemies hit your base, they freeze for 4 seconds. Now, I think #1 loadout had to do with the fact that there wasn't really a cooldown on that for a very long time, and while I try to not talk about things like that as a YouTuber too much, the community knew. Okay, they knew. But that doesn't change the fact that he's still an excellent S tier. I maybe put him #1. I had to carry some other content creators in a 160 recently, and I ran that solo basically, and Ice King was my pick. So I can't just take him out of S tier when I literally chose him as the potential best hero to solo. I'm not going to make that a thing. I'm not saying that ultimately, but he felt right because you have enough wall strength to stop a smasher with base Kyle and support, usually. And even if that wall breaks, you might as well have that smasher be frozen for 4 full seconds. That way you can intervene and deal with it. So yeah, S tier for sure. Warden Kyle was one of the changed heroes. He's over here in the Frost Knight section as well. I think he comes out of the llamas, and he was also given to a lot of people if you did the BR quest. So if you're a brand new player, if you're watching this in the future, the quest is already gone, I'm sorry. But a lot of people were given a green copy of him. And oh, I should have mentioned this sooner. Oh man. There's so much information to cover because I know a lot of new people are watching this. A lot of these perks are not changed with rarity, by the way. So all of the heroes I mentioned today mostly work at any rarity. That goes for base Kyle, power base Nox, Ice King, even. Yeah. Warden Kyle will heal you green or legendary. It's the exact same amount. And that healing is substantial. The energy is also very nice. So Warden Kyle, in my opinion, is one of our very first S tier supports. I know from the very beginning I said that S tier was going to be mostly our commanders, but considering he heals you and your teammates by a significant amount, he's really nice to have. He should be in the support of any constructor loadout you're running, and that's really what I was thinking, is like, if any of these characters aren't support, if any of these characters aren't your commander, they are in support. Warden Kyle should probably never be your commander, but very good regardless. Now, let's together remember what Vintage Tech even does. Who are you? Okay, Wild West Llamas, Vintage Tech Penny gives you Radius of Plasma Pulse. I actually used her, yeah. When I was running a Flutter build, I found that the Radius was substantially impactful in getting more enemies caught to get those whiffs going. So I'll put her up here, I guess. You might as well make the plasma pulse radius bigger, then increase the damage behind it. It's a really weird hero to use because plasma pulse is plasma pulse. Now, our last new hero, Hotwire. He's in the holiday section all the way down here. Unlocked through that's not holiday, springtime. There we go, different holiday. Hotwire adds chain lightning to your going constructor. That's really fun, really, really fun. It's pretty tough to make a loadout around that, but I'm still going to credit him as quite strong. I think he's right up there with Flutter. These two came to the game and were just solid. He could be a commander. You can have a ton of fun with it, do some extremely viable damage, but you're still limited to going constructor. So it's not a thing that is going to be used in every single game, but it's very, very strong. So I think that just about covers it. I got someone in the stream chat saying Ice King's overvalued, but watching a 250 power level smasher stop being able to do anything whatsoever for 4 seconds when I, attack it with a Jabberwocky feels pretty good. So you can leave your comments down below. I'm sure some of you will disagree. If you give the same person the same tier list on 10 different days, you're probably going to get 10 different tier lists, but I like to give you guys my updated opinions as much as I can because honestly, it's all extremely subjective. I could change my mind tomorrow, but I think this is a solid list, and honestly, my constructor build guide is really an excellent resource. Tier lists are a fun, quick look on what's good, what's bad. However, it is never ever the full story. If you are actually trying to build a constructor loadout, I will link this video very high down below because this is seriously a complete breakdown of what my opinions are and how to actually put these constructors into a usable build rather than just use them randomly. So yeah, that's it. I'm out of here. Like the video, subscribe. If you guys want to support me with your purchases, feel free to use code Mista at your checkout, and I'll see you guys in the next one. More tier lists linked down below in the playlist.